All right, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of the Going Against the Grain podcast that myself, Aaron Singerman, and my beautiful wife, Kim Singerman. Um, Really, she is the mastermind behind a lot of this stuff and helps me think up some of these things, and I help her think up some of these things. But really, I think she is the head honcho with this stuff. So um, let's dive into this. Who are we, babe? Let's talk to them a little bit about what we've created down here. Who are we?
We are Ripple Run Farms. We are a first generation farm in Circleville, Ohio. Um, I don't know, add to it.
Yeah. So first podcast. So Kim asked me to do most of the talking, but that's okay. We're first gen farmers out of Circleville, Ohio. Something that we've kind of wanted to do is just grow into a farm where we can provide a healthy solution to our family's needs through food, through meat, and through produce that we produce on the farm, and just giving our kids and family a better way of life uh, that we believe is best for our family's best interests. Um, how, Kimberly, how did we get to Circleville, Ohio? Tell us the story on how we made it to this 7 acre farm down here in Circleville, Ohio.
Well, first, it's Kim, not Kimberly.
Sorry.
So we started looking a couple years ago, what, like two or three? Because we lived in the traditional housing development in Powell, Ohio. And we wanted out of an HOA community, kind of like how we could do our own thing when we wanted without asking for permission. And we started looking around the same area that we were, but we couldn't find anything that would check all the boxes that we wanted. And then we decided to expand our search outside of the area we were. And I found this house and I gave it to Aaron to look at, and he wasn't thrilled at first. Um, Turn my
I
volume
wouldn't
on.
say I wasn't thrilled, but you definitely had to talk me into going on this showing to look at the house, I would say maybe.
Yeah, you weren't thrilled right off the rip to be moving 30 minutes away from our everyday life.
I can agree with that. But we had some we both had dreams of more than what we had. I think we could agree on that. Like, I wanted a pole barn. I wanted to be able to, have somewhere we could put our RV that we no longer own. Whatever it is that I wanted a pole barn for, I don't even really know now. I was just like, hey, I want a pole barn.
Toys for the kids.
Toys for the kids, a place for me to go and tinker around with things. And one of the things was like, hey, I don't want to renovate anything. I want the house to be great. And um, you found this place and you're like, hey, let's go look at it. And I was like, okay, but we're not buying it. Um, so we went and looked at it, and I said, okay, let's buy it. So that's how that turned out. And we both fell in love with it. We equally fell in love with it, and we bit our nails until we found out that we won the offer. And then as soon as we got to Circleville, and moved in, we got layer chickens first, right?
Yes.
Yep.
And we started off with, I think it was like 12. And then I ended up ordering more.
Mhm.
And now we have what, 23?
23 layers.
Yeah. And then like 3 weeks after that, we started getting into the meat chickens and going down that fun route.
I think getting the meat chickens was our first dive into really what we're doing down here. And, me and you have both sort of taken a deep dive, maybe a little bit me more than you, into like learning about chickens and listening to every podcast under the sun about homesteading and changing our way of thinking and our way of life and getting those birds really got us excited for what we're doing down here, I think.
But I do have to add in our podcast that you had told me we were not getting a bunch of farm animals. And if we did, you were not taking care of any said farm animals. And now
And
you
now I
take
have
care
a
of,
chicken statue sitting right behind me.
yes.
No, I actually love chickens, and I did say that, and I do retract that statement. It's been fun. A lot of this has been a learning curve. Pretty much every angle of everything that me and you have done so far has been like, wow, okay, we could do that differently next time. But um, I think that's part of what we're liking about this, in that we get to share it with our children.
Yes, the kids love the chickens.
Yeah, yeah.
And they get to experience the circle of life. See the chickens come and they see chicken on their plates.
Hmm. Hmm. And they've even had to see full circle. They've had to see death too. They've had to see um, chickens that got sick uh,
Hmm.
have to get called, and that's it's something that I think is important for kids to understand that whole, the whole circle of life, how it actually works. And they, at a young age, already understand you raise your food to eat it. Um,
Yeah.
and I think making that and introducing your kids at a young age to learning how to do these things and how life works and how food works and how food gets to your plate um, is very important for children. Mhm. Getting back to the
Yes.
basics, really learning how to do a little bit of everything um, is important because I think kids get so far away from that these days, and families get far away from teaching their kids just the basics. So I think I'm really glad that we've decided to go down this road and the things that we're doing right now.
Yeah, and our kids thrive out here. I think more so than they would in the traditional housing development.
Yeah, they're running around, they're playing, they're getting dirty, they're fighting, they're chasing cats and chickens and, you know, chasing each other with sticks and four-wheelers and having fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's nothing wrong with uh, the suburban life. Um, I think there's more opportunity. And I'm excited for our kids to be able to have a little bit of this um, growing up.
Hmm.
So, goals for starting the business. Where do you see this going, babe?
So, short-term goal is to get into a couple farmers markets in spring of 2024. And we are working on figuring out which ones and how to sign up for them and get ready. And this batch of meat chickens that we have is kind of our test run for the winter to kind of get our name out there and start selling some of our chickens for this or out of this batch. And then long term, I would love to get a market on our property where people can come and buy not only our local homegrown chickens, but other local people selling things like honey or whatever other locals we could get their products into our store, and people can just come and hang out and just be one community helping each other.
I love that idea. We saw a video of some people out in Oregon that are doing something like this, and we were like, this is it. Like, it's like they put what was in our heads in this YouTube video, and we were like, oh wow, this is what we want to emulate, pulling the organic, sustainably sourced food community together, pool together, create a place to gather, a place for kids to come, farm to table meals, movie nights, ice cream, coffee, uh, whatever it may be. Local
And
wine,
it'll be the best coffee in town.
the best coffee in town. That's going to be
Yes.
Kim's goal is to serve
I'm a
the
coffee snob.
best coffee. She is a coffee holic, and so I think it's going to be cool to see ourselves grow, and let growth, sort of, create our demand and growth in the company.
Mhm.
Should we? I think we owe some of the people that are going to instantly chime in and talk, or not talk and listen to this, a little explanation of how did we get from how did we get from Grateful Pastures to Ripple Run Farms? I think we should at least tell our new viewers and the people that have been following us, and thank you that people that have already joined us on our journey. I think we've got a couple hundred followers now on Instagram. Where are
I
we at?
It
Almost
was,
200.
yeah, I'm actually going to look it up right now because I'm not, I think it was like 150.
150.
It
Guys,
is 158.
let's get to 200 people. We're grateful for each and every single one of you guys that has followed us. Kim, do you want to tell them the quick story on how we got from Grateful Pastures and why Grateful and Ripple are something that how we got here?
Yeah, so for those who do not know my husband, he is a huge Grateful Dead fan. Um, like where he followed them around the country and everything back in his prime time. Um, and he wanted something to do with that in a way that because you can't obviously copyright their stuff. We couldn't use their letter or their colors. We couldn't use a lightning bolt or anything like that. So we came up with Grateful Pastures. Well, we went to go create a website not too long ago, and there is a chicken farm in, what was it, Georgia? Um,
I think it is Georgia.
that is literally everything that we are and trying to grow to be. Same name and everything. And from my research, since they are different states, you can have the same name, but we want to be our own individual, different name. We don't want anything copied from someone else. So then we went back to the drawing board and I started looking up Grateful Dead songs. And I would Google a song or a song title and then Google the meaning behind it, look at the lyrics, and I came across Ripple. It's just Ripple, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
And I'll let you explain the song better because you know all the words probably.
Basically, the song is just your life is yours to lead. And we've kind of, that's the summary of it. And that's kind of like, it really strikes home with me and Kim is like, we really want to live outside of the normalcy, going against the grain. That's the name of the podcast. Like, we want to live the life we want to live, and we don't want people to tell us, that we're wrong. Like, we just want, and we don't want to tell people that they're doing anything wrong. We just want to be able to do what we want to do and provide our family with a healthy alternative to food, which is really what got us here. We want to create a community around food and health. Um, and that really leads us into what I think segments the most important part of this podcast today, which is our whys. Um, we've talked a lot about how we got here, who we are, what direction we're going. But I think what is at the center of everything, in my career, when I meet with agents and try and help them out and help them grow into their business, I want to know what their why is. I think it's really important. And even with you, Kim, and your journey through health and fitness over the last few years, I think you finding your why is what has really pushed you forward, since becoming a mother and wanting to change your life for the better through health. So, can you share, or would you like me to start with our whys on why it is that we moved to Circleville? Why are we starting a farm? Why are we doing this health stuff for our children and for our family? And why do we feel like we have this calling to also bring it to our community?
So for me, I've always been health conscious pretty much since my teenage years, probably early teenage years. I would do every fad diet that was on the market at that time. And I would believe what the front of the packages tell you, whether it be heart healthy or it had made with real fruit or filled with vitamins. Well, I never understood what was on the other side on the label and the ingredients. And then a little over a year ago, my mom got diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. And having her go through that, and then she ended up in the hospital um, for what, 77 days.
Near death
Um, yes, sedated on a trach, and it was a lot.
and a
Um,
ventilator. She was on a vent too for a while.
yes. So it was just a lot for to see her go through that. And then as her child, I obviously had struggles dealing with it and seeing her go through all that. And at that point, I realized I didn't want to put um my kids through that. I didn't I obviously don't want to go through it myself. So the only way that I can help me or my kids not to go through that is by making sure I don't fill us with chemicals. And that's when I really started reading the back of pack food labels and researching the ingredients and studying them, and I mean, doing all the research that I have so I can learn what is the best foods to eat for myself and for my kids. Um, and I mean, my kids still get treats. If we're on vacation, they still get ice cream and things like that, but they're on very special occasions, and they are when me and their dad see fit. It's not an everyday thing. It's not their normal. It's not their normal to just sit down and eat a bowl of Lucky Charms every morning before school. Um, that's to me, that's not real food, and that's not what I want to give my kids to as a healthy breakfast. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's my biggest why is probably seeing my mom go through what she did, and wanting to make huge changes in our lives, in our household, to try to eliminate my risk and my kids' risk of getting cancer.
It was a hard time for our family, and um, through trials and tribulations and hardships comes growth. And I saw a lot of tremendous growth come out of you, which kind of, I think you landed where we are way before I did. Um, this was your vision. I always supported your health journey. I didn't really grasp it and understand it until we moved down here and really got a change of pace, change of lifestyle. And that's when my why evolved as I started building the chicken coops with your dad, and tending to the land and different things and the chickens and stuff. Um, it kind of started making me think too as well about like what we're putting in the body. And I think I committed right around then to like start eating what you cook. Before you used to make all my guilty pleasures, like Skyline, and just processed this and fried this and whatever. And I started saying, whatever you're cooking, I'll eat it. And that was the first step. And then similarly to you, it grew on me because you started doing the research about cancer, and somewhere it was we were reading one night like 10% of like cancers and disease and stuff like that come from genetics. The other 90% comes from what you ingest in your body, whether it's, smoking or eating or, whatever it is that you're ingesting in your body is a big part and contributing factor to cancers and stuff like that. Sugars, sucralose, all the different chemicals. Like you look at Lucky Charms in the UK and you look at Lucky Charms in the United States, the Lucky Charms in the UK has like 6 ingredients. The Lucky Charms in the United States has 20. Half of them you can't pronounce. And they're all different preservatives and fakes, sugars. And it's crazy. But, when I realized that, I looked back and my father passed away in 2017 of stomach cancer. Diagnosis to passing was 12 days. One of the most devastating less than 2 weeks of my life. And it constantly makes me think like, if he had had a different diet, if he had taken better care of himself, if he had eaten differently, would this have happened? Um, it makes you think. So
Yeah.
I guess I'm grateful to you for opening my eyes to these things and helping me, and hopefully, me and you being able to start a farm and share what we're doing for our family with other people. Maybe we can get a couple people to join us along the ride. And, we got a lot of exciting things coming up. We're going to a couple conferences. We're wanting to learn. We're wanting to expand our knowledge in the industry and um, keep this thing moving forward for the better of our family and hopefully carry some of our community along with us.
Hmm.
So, do you have anything else you want to share tonight?
Should we mention to everyone why we chose to release the podcast on this date?
I think you should, and I'll let you do the honors. I think it's a very important reason why we're dropping it now. Um, Go
So
ahead.
we just so we decided to, I had this thought the other night, to, well, let me back up. So we wanted to record our first podcast for a while. We didn't know exactly when to release it or anything. And I was thinking about our why and thinking about my mom having cancer. And so I decided that our release date was going to be October 19th. And that is because a year ago, on October 19th, my mom was admitted to the hospital due to a bad reaction to her chemo. And I just figured since my why is a big majority her, um, I figured that that would be the best release date, and Aaron was on board because a
It's
lot
good.
has changed in a year.
So much has changed in a year. Mostly for the better, though. Mostly for the
Yeah.
better. And to note, I don't know if we have mentioned it in this podcast today, but for those who don't know, Kim's mother is alive and she did get to
Yes.
ring the bell. And
She could not, by doctor's orders, finish any more chemo, because it near killed her. But she did finish all of her radiation, um, and she got to ring the bell, and she's been trucking along ever since. Spunkier than ever.
spunkier than ever. But we
Yeah.
love her and we're so grateful that she is still with us. I just wanted to make sure we mentioned that because I don't think we kept talking about this looming stuff with her. I wanted to make sure none of our viewers were like, so what happened?
Right.
Still with us and she's great and we're grateful for that. And we are grateful for you guys for listening. We have so much more to talk about. I asked Kim to help me with a list tonight, and she sent me hers, and I sent her mine, and it was like 6 pages longer than hers. And she was like, "Yo, let's cut this down." So
Well,
we've cut it
and
down for
side
you
note,
guys. I
you
sent
also
her,
said my notes were only going to be a 10-minute long
I,
podcast. They're
I
like at
sent her eight episodes, and she sent me one. So again, guys, we're grateful for you listening, and we hope you tune in to Going Against the Grain here soon. We'll hopefully have another podcast episode out to you guys in the next 2 weeks. Take care and have a great day.
bye.
Bye.